If you have time to sit here and watch this video, your life probably isn't as bad as you think it is. And yeah, that sounds a little harsh, but just think about it for a second, because the people who are actually struggling right now aren't watching YouTube. They're not scrolling through videos trying to figure life out. They're not comparing themselves to random people online. They don't even have the time to overthink their situation. They're just trying to get through the day. And that's where things start to feel a little off. Because if you're here right now, that probably isn't your situation. It's more like this. You're in your room. Maybe it's late. Your phone is in your hand. And you're just scrolling. Video after video. Seeing people your age making money, building things, traveling, living lives that look way ahead of yours. And without even realizing it, something starts to shift. Your life suddenly feels smaller, slower, like you're falling behind. But here's the weird part. Nothing about your actual life changed in that moment. The only thing that changed was what you were looking at. And that matters more than people think. Because what's actually happening in that moment isn't that your life is bad. It's that your brain is being fed a completely distorted version of reality. And it gets worse than that. Because it's not just one video. It's not just one comparison. It's constant. Every time you open your phone, you're stepping into a world where everyone looks like they're ahead, more successful, more productive, more figured out. And your brain doesn't question it. It just compares automatically. And the longer you stay in that cycle, the more your normal life starts to feel like it's not enough. And I didn't really understand this at first either. I'm 19. I'm in college. And at the same time, I've made more money online than I ever thought I would. Not because I'm some genius. Not because I got lucky. But because I spent years trying to figure something out that most people don't even think about. I built pages. I failed. I started over. Again and again. Trying different things. Watching what worked. Watching what didn't. Until eventually something clicked. But here's what's interesting. Even after all of that, even after making money, even after doing something that most people would consider ahead, I still catch myself feeling behind sometimes, which doesn't make any sense. And that's when I started to realize something. This feeling has almost nothing to do with your actual situation and almost everything to do with what you're constantly exposed to. Because think about it. A few years ago, you didn't know what thousands of people your age were doing every single day. Now, you see everything all the time. The wins, the highlights, the best moments, packaged perfectly, and your brain just accepts that as reality. But that's not even the real problem. The real problem is you start measuring your life against that, not against your past, not against your progress, but against someone else's best moments. And that's a game you can't win, because no matter how good your life gets, there's always someone doing more, always someone ahead, always someone posting something better. And if that's your reference point, you'll always feel like you're losing, which is kind of crazy when you think about it, because objectively your life might actually be improving. You might be learning things, building things, getting better, but it doesn't feel like that. And the reason it doesn't feel like that is because if your brain isn't focused on what you have, it's focused on what you don't. And that shift in focus changes everything, because now, instead of seeing opportunity, you see lack. Instead of feeling progress, you feel pressure. And instead of appreciating where you are, you're constantly trying to escape it. But if you pause for a second and just look at your situation without all that noisy, things start to look different. You have time, you have access, you have information, you have opportunities that didn't exist even 10 years ago. And yeah, that doesn't mean your life is perfect, but it also means it's probably not as bad as it feels. And that feeling is where most people get stuck, because instead of questioning the feeling, they assume it's true. They assume, if I feel behind, I must be behind. If I feel lost, I must be lost. If I feel like I'm not doing enough, I must not not be doing enough. But feelings aren't always accurate, especially when they're being influenced 24/7. And this is where things get kind of uncomfortable, because it means a lot of what you think about your life isn't actually coming from you. It's coming from what you consume, the content you watch, the people you follow, the things you scroll past every single day. All of that shapes how you see yourself, even if you don't notice it. And once you realize that, it becomes hard to ignore. Because now the question isn't just, why do I feel like this? It becomes, where is this feeling coming from? And that's a very different question. Because if the feeling is coming from what you're constantly seeing, then changing what you see changes how you feel. Not instantly, not perfectly, but over time, it shifts things. And suddenly, your life doesn't feel as heavy, not because everything changed, but because your perspective did. And that's kind of the main thing. Most people aren't stuck because their life is terrible. They're stuck because their perception of it is. And those are two completely different problems. One is external, the other is internal. And the internal one is way harder to notice because it doesn't look like a problem. It just feels like reality. So maybe the situation isn't, my life is bad. Maybe it's more like, I've been looking at it through the wrong lens this whole time. And if that's true, then fixing your life might not start with doing more, or becoming more, or chasing something new. It might just start with seeing things a little more clearly. Because if you can do that, even slightly, then suddenly things don't feel as heavy as they did before. And that's a strange feeling, because nothing actually changed. But at the same time, everything kind of did.